My name is Ava Miller. I'm 16 years old. And on the night of April 12th, I died. I know how that sounds. But I need you to hear me. Not because my story is special, but because it could have been anyone's. It could have been you. Before that night, I was normal, I guess. Or at least that's what I told myself. I lived in a quiet suburb outside Denver. Same rows of beige houses, same cracked sidewalks, same sound of dogs barking somewhere behind a fence. I went to high school. I studied. I had friends, friends. I laughed, I scrolled, I tried to fit in. I posted pictures with filters so strong I barely recognized myself. I pretended things didn't hurt when they did. If you asked anyone who knew me, they'd say, Ava? She's fine. She's always on her phone, but who isn't? And I guess that's true. My phone was my whole world. It was the first thing I touched when my eyes opened in the morning before I even remembered who I was. Notifications, streaks, comments, hearts, videos that blended into each other until my brain hummed like a broken machine. Scrolling was easier than thinking. Easier than feeling. I wasn't the popular girl. I wasn't the outcast either. I existed somewhere in the middle, a comfortable blur where nobody expected too much from me. That was fine with me. Expectations are heavy when you already feel like you're barely holding yourself together. My parents, Emma and Daniel Miller, they're good people. Tired people. They work more hours than anyone should. They try. They really do. But trying doesn't always mean seeing. And I was good at staying unseen. I hid everything. The anxiety, the pressure, the endless buzzing in my chest that made me feel like I was running a race I couldn't see the finish line of. The loneliness that made me want to disappear some nights. All of it. I hid it behind the glow of a screen. Everyone vaped at school. Everyone. It was just there. In bathroom stalls, in cars, in bedrooms with LED lights glowing like fake sunsets. Someone handed me my first one at a sleepover freshman year. Peat ice. Tasted like candy. It made the noise in my head go soft for the first time in a long time. And softness is addictive. Silence is addictive when you never have any. I told people it was stress. Or a habit. Or nothing. But the truth? It was escape. A tiny plastic escape hatch I could carry in my pocket. My mom found one once. Hidden in a drawer under old homework assignments. She held it in her palm like it was a dead bird. Ava, she whispered, this stuff will kill you. I laughed. Mom, it's just vapor. Everyone does it. She didn't laugh. She cried. Actual tears. And I hated myself a little for not being able to stop. But the buzzing in my chest, the panic, the fear, the emptiness, wouldn't let me. The vape quieted it. And quiet was all I ever wanted. I became really good at lying. Really good at pretending. Really good at numbing myself just enough to get through another day. No one knew how loud my head was. No one knew how empty my heart felt. No one knew that sometimes late at night when everything was quiet, I'd stare at my ceiling and wonder why God felt so far away. I used to pray when I was little. I used to talk to him like he was right next to me. But somewhere along the way, between notifications and expectations and the ache of growing up, I stopped hearing him. Or maybe I stopped listening. And that's who I was before it happened. A girl who looked fine on the outside and was breaking quietly on the inside. A girl drowning in noise and calling it normal. A girl who didn't realize she was running straight toward the night she would die. Because that night, that silence I craved more than anything, it came. But not in the way I expected. It was a Wednesday. Nothing special, nothing dramatic. Just a long gray day that felt like it was made of static. I came home from school exhausted for no real reason, the way you get exhausted when your mind has been spinning faster than your body can keep up. My dad asked how my day was. I shrugged. Fine. He asked about my homework. I said, I'll do it later. I never did it later. He tried to talk to me, really talk, but I kept answering with half syllables, the kind designed to end conversations. I could feel him getting frustrated, not angry exactly, just hurt. But I didn't know how to be present. It felt uncomfortable to be fully in the moment. The moment always felt too loud. After dinner, I don't even remember what we ate. Mom asked me to stay downstairs for a bit to watch something as a family. I said I had a project to work on. She nodded even though I knew she didn't believe me. I climbed the stairs to my room and shut the door behind me. That sound, the click, felt like relief and guilt all at once. My room was dark except for the soft blue glow from the LED strip I stuck along the ceiling 2 years ago. I dropped my backpack somewhere near the bed and lay down without even taking off my shoes. My phone lit up. A notification. A streak reminder. A video. Another video. A message from a girl I barely knew sending me some pointless meme. A picture of a party I wasn't invited to. More noise. And under all of it, the familiar coldness. That pressure in my chest. That whispering thought. Something is wrong with you. Everyone else seems fine. Why aren't you? What's broken inside you that you can't fix? I reached for my vape without thinking. It was muscle memory at this point. I'd recently started using stronger pods, ones some junior sold out of his car in the school parking lot. I didn't ask what was in them. I didn't want to know. I just knew they hit harder. I liked that. I took a long inhale. Held it. Exhaled. The noise quieted. Not completely but enough. I scrolled. And scrolled. And scrolled. I don't know how long I was lying there. Minutes. Hours. Time gets slippery when you're trying to escape yourself. At some point I noticed the room felt colder. Or maybe I felt colder. I pulled a blanket over myself but the chill was coming from inside, not outside. Another drag. Another. My chest loosened. Or maybe it numbed, I couldn't tell the difference anymore. Then my phone buzzed again. A group chat lighting up. Friends planning something for the weekend. My name wasn't mentioned. I wasn't invited. I stared at the screen too long. That emptiness inside tightened. I took another hit. And another. And another. I don't know why I did it. Maybe the loneliness hit harder that night. Maybe the silence I wanted felt impossible. Maybe I was just tired of my own thoughts. And that's when it started. First it was small. A weird feeling in my lungs like cold jelly sliding around inside. I coughed once, sharp, dry, painful. I sat up thinking maybe I just breathed in too fast. I tried to take a deep breath. Couldn't. It felt like someone pressed a hand over my chest from the inside. I coughed again. Harder. The LEDs blurred. My vision went grainy like bad reception on an old TV. My heart started pounding. Fast. Too fast. I put the vape down. My hands were shaking. I told myself it was just anxiety. Just another panic attack. I'd had those before. I knew the signs. But this wasn't the same. My breaths were getting shorter, thinner, as if the air in my room had turned thick like fog soaked with water. I tried to stand but my knees buckled. My stomach flipped. The edges of my vision darkened. Ava, I whispered to myself, you're fine, just breathe. But I couldn't. The air wasn't going in. My mind screamed for my mom. I tried to call out but my voice didn't come out, just a raspy wheeze that didn't even sound human. Panic surged through me. My hands clawed at my chest like I could somehow pull the air inside. My legs trembled. My whole body felt like it was dissolving. Then I fell. I remember the moment my head hit the carpet. A sharp thud. A burst of light behind my eyes. I could see my phone on the bed lighting up with another notification. Someone laughing in a group chat. Someone posting a story. Someone living their life. And there I was. On the floor. Trying to breathe like it was the hardest thing in the world. The last thought I remember before everything went black was so small, so pathetic. Why wasn't I enough? Why wasn't life enough? And then, silence. Not the comforting silence I always wanted. Not the gentle quiet of late nights. But a silence so deep, so absolute it didn't feel like silence at all. It felt like the world had closed its eyes. And I was gone. I don't remember the exact moment my heart stopped. I didn't hear a final beat or a last breath, or some dramatic sound like in movies. It was quieter than that. Too quiet. It was like someone turned down the volume of reality slowly, gently, until everything just faded. I remember the darkness first. Not blackness. Not emptiness. Just the absence of everything familiar. No phone glow. No LED lights. No buzzing thoughts. No aching chest. Just a strange stillness that felt wrong in a way I couldn't explain. Then voices. Far away. Muffled. Like hearing people through a thick wall underwater. A woman's voice, my mother's, strained and breaking. Ava. Ava. Baby please. My father's voice, rougher, choked. Call 911. Now. But it sounded like their words were sliding past me, unable to touch me anymore. I kept trying to follow their voices but I couldn't move. It was like my body didn't belong to me. And then, like someone suddenly ripped a curtain open. I popped out of myself. That's the only way I can describe it. Like stepping out of a too tight coat you didn't realize you'd been wearing your whole life. I was floating. Up by the ceiling. Weightless. I turned without a body, I don't know how, and looked down. And there I was. My actual body. On the floor. So, eyes slightly open. Skin pale. Lips turning blue around the edges. My fingers were curled like they had been reaching for something. My chest wasn't moving. I knew it was serious, but the strangest thing was, I didn't panic. Not at first. I stared. It felt like looking at someone else. A stranger who happened to look like me. My door burst open, slamming against the wall so hard the handle cracked the paint. My mom fell inside the room, not walked. Fell, like she already knew before she saw. When her eyes found me, my body, she made a sound I pray no one ever hears in their lifetime. It wasn't a scream. It wasn't a word. It was the sound of a heart breaking in real time. Ava. Oh God, Ava. No, no, no. She dropped to her knees so fast I swear she bruised them. She grabbed my shoulders, shaking me, trying to force life back into me with her hands alone. I floated above her, wanting so desperately to tell her I was there. That I could hear her. That she wasn't alone. But when I reached out, my hand went right through her. Through her hair. Through her body. Like she was made of smoke. Or maybe I was. My dad rushed in behind her, holding his phone, yelling into it, "She's not breathing. Please hurry. She's 16, she's not breathing." I watched my mother press her ear to my chest, searching for a heartbeat that wasn't there. Her hands shook so violently she kept missing my face when she tried to brush hair out of my eyes. "Ava, please wake up, baby, please. God, please don't take her." My father knelt beside her, but he didn't touch me. He just stared. Stared like the world had ended and he was trying to understand how. My mom's sobs filled the room, echoing off the walls, sharp and raw. My dad's face crumpled in a way I'd never seen, like he was folding into himself. I wanted to scream that I was there. I wanted to grab them. To hold them. To tell them it wasn't their fault. But I couldn't make a sound. I was a whisper without a voice. The paramedics arrived fast, faster than I thought possible. The whole hallway lit up with the harsh flash of their equipment bags and the thud of boots on wooden floors. 2 EMTs rushed in, pulling my parents away. Not gently, not harshly, just with the urgency of people who know they're running out of time. Clear. My lifeless body jerked upward like a puppet pulled by invisible strings. My spirit flinched even though I didn't feel pain. No pulse. Again. Clear. My body jolted again, chest arching, head tilting back. Still nothing. No response. Prep for transport. I watched them work on me with clinical precision. Compressions, oxygen mask, commands shouted with practiced rhythm. But every second felt like the world was pulling me further away. One paramedic shook his head, not saying the words but thinking them. I could feel it. "She's gone." My mom collapsed against my dad. He wrapped his arms around her but looked like he was barely staying upright himself. I floated above them. My room was filled with the sound of machines and crying and chaos, but none of it touched me anymore. And then, Foley. The walls of my room began to soften. At first I thought it was my vision. Like the edges were melting. Blurring. No. The walls themselves started to vibrate, like heat waves rising off pavement on a scorching day. The paramedics' voices faded. My mother's sobs softened. My father's shaking hands dissolved into the shimmering air. My room, my house, my entire world, breathed once like a giant exhale, and disappeared. All the noise, the crying, the commands, the beeping, all of it vanished. And for the first time in as long as I could remember, there was silence. Not the kind I tried to force with a vape. Not the fake piece of numbing myself. This silence was different. It was full, warm, alive. A silence that wrapped around me like a blanket. A silence that didn't scare me. A silence that felt like it had been waiting for me. And somewhere in that silence, something shifted. A warmth behind me. Small at first, then growing. Like someone lighting a candle in a pitch-black room. Turned, or maybe I was turned, toward the light forming in the distance. And everything inside me, everything broken, numb, empty, stirred for the first time. Because the quiet wasn't empty at all. It was the beginning. The warmth behind me grew stronger, spreading through the darkness like sunrise across a sleeping world. But this wasn't sunlight. It wasn't something you could measure or touch or explain. It felt alive. Not like a person. Not like an object. Like everything. The darkness around me wasn't erased. It simply pulled back gently, respectfully, as if it knew it wasn't supposed to be here anymore. And the light grew brighter. Not harsh or blinding, but soft, solid, like it had weight. I didn't feel afraid. For the first time, maybe in my entire life, I felt safe. The warmth wrapped around me, soaking into places inside me I didn't even know had gone cold. All the spots where fear lived. All the tight knots of shame. All the hidden wounds I'd been pretending weren't there. And then I heard it. A sound. Not music. Not singing. But something deeper than both. As if a single perfect chord was being held by something infinitely gentle. It vibrated through me, through whatever I was now, tuning me like a string pulled back into harmony. I turned toward the source. The light shifted, condensed, gathered itself into a shape. A figure. Human-shaped but not human. A silhouette made entirely of radiance. Warm gold, white, and colors I couldn't name. Colors that don't exist here. Colors you feel more than see. And I knew him. Not from memory. Not from church. Not from pictures. I knew him the way a lost child knows their mother's voice. Instantly. Completely. Jesus. I didn't say his name. I felt it. It bloomed inside me, blooming with certainty the way truth does when you've been drowning in lies for too long. He didn't walk to me. He simply was suddenly closer. The warmth grew so intense I thought I would melt, but I didn't. Instead, something inside me loosened. A tension I'd been holding for years without realizing. Something deep and knotted and painful. And then I felt the shame hit. All of it. All at once. Every lie I told my mom. Every time I ignored my dad. Every moment I chose my phone over real people. Every vape hit I took to silence the voice inside me begging for help. Every time I convinced myself I didn't need God because I wasn't worth his time. I tried to cover myself. I don't know how. My hands weren't exactly hands anymore, but the instinct was there. I didn't want him to see me like this. Broken. Numb. But he didn't stop. He kept coming closer, slowly, gently, until he stood right in front of me. Even though he had no visible eyes, I knew he was looking directly into me, through every layer, every mask, every lie, every wound. And his voice wasn't a sound. It was a vibration inside my very being. A single word. Ava. Just my name. But when he said it, every part of me responded. It was like being called awake after years of sleep. And the warmth inside me burst outward, flushing every cold place, filling every empty corner. Then I saw it. The gunk. That's the only word I can use. Dark strands, thin at first, then thicker, pulled out of me like smoke being drawn out of a fire. They rose off me, tugged gently upward, drifting toward his light. Each strand carried something. A moment I hid something. A moment I numbed myself. A moment I doubted my worth. A moment I scrolled past another hour of my life. A moment I felt empty and tried to patch it with noise. I watched the darkness rise from my chest, my mind, my heart, every part of me, and the moment each strand touched his light, it vanished. Not burned. Not dissolved. Not erased. It simply ceased to exist like it had never been real to begin with. I gasped. Felt like taking the first true breath of my entire life. My lungs, or whatever I had in this form, filled with something that wasn't air. Something purer. Warmer. Lighter. I cried. Real tears this time. Tears that didn't sting or shame me. Tears that healed. Jesus didn't judge me. Didn't scold me. Didn't demand an explanation. He just stood there, letting the remnants of my pain leave me, letting me feel what it was like to be seen without being condemned. I didn't speak, not with words, but my thoughts poured into the light between us. I'm sorry. The sorrow wasn't fear of punishment. It was the ache of having ignored someone who never once stopped loving me. His response washed over me like warm rain. I know. 2 words, but they carried entire universes. And then he showed me things. Not as visions on a screen. I was there, living them. I saw myself lying on my bedroom floor. I saw my phone screen flickering with meaningless notifications. I saw my vape pen on the carpet, tauntingly small compared to what it took from me. Then he showed me the truth behind it all. Every scroll. Every tap. Every desperate escape. Each one released a small cloud of gray smoke around my spirit, thickening, suffocating, numbing me so subtly I didn't notice until it was too late. The vape wasn't the cause. It was the symptom. The real sickness was the emptiness I kept trying to drown. The scene pulled back. Further. Further. Until I saw millions of rooms. Millions of kids. Millions of glowing screens in dark bedrooms. Every face illuminated by a device. Every heart dimmed by noise. Every soul starving without realizing. A generation alone together. And his voice, his gentle, powerful voice, wrapped around me. This is your generation. The loneliest in history. So full of voices yet unheard. So full of distractions yet empty. They are starving for me. His light dimmed with sorrow. They cannot hear me. Because they are never quiet. The truth pierced through me like a blade of light. My panic. My anxiety. My emptiness. It wasn't a disease. It was a signal. My soul crying out for God. And I smothered it with vapor, noise, and digital shadows. Tears streamed down my face again. I didn't know, I whispered inside. I know, his voice answered, full of love. Then he showed me. Not despair this time. Hope. A vision of kids putting down their phones. Walking outside. Seeing each other. Talking. Praying. Finding real joy. Finding him. And then, I felt it. A pull. Soft at first. Then stronger. Like a hand tugging me backward. No, I begged. No, I want to stay with you. Please, don't make me go back. It's too hard there. It's too loud. His love grew even stronger, warm, overwhelming, unshakable. Ava, he said, you must go back. Tell them what you've seen. Tell them I am here. Tell them the quiet they fear is where I wait for them. And his light, the warmth, the music, these began to fade. But not because he was leaving. But as I was. I screamed for him. But only silence came out. The darkness rushed up around me again. Cold this time, terrifying. And the world snapped back too fast, too bright, too sharp. And suddenly, I fell. Hard. Into my body. The first thing I felt was pain. Not the soft ache of waking up wrong or the sting of a scraped knee, or even the crushing pressure I felt before I died. This pain was different. Raw. Like someone had poured broken glass into my lungs and told me to breathe it in. A blinding, artificial light seared into my eyes. Voices crashed around me. Machines beeped so loudly it felt like they were drilling into my skull. For a moment, one terrible, terrifying moment, I thought I was falling out of heaven. I tried to scream, but something was in my throat. A tube. I gagged, choking on it. She's awake, she's conscious. Hands held me down. Someone yelled for sedation. Someone else said, no, don't lose her again. Then a man's face appeared above me. A doctor. His eyes were wide, the kind of wide that comes from fear and disbelief mixed together. Ava, he said slowly, like talking to someone in a different world. You're at St. Jude's Hospital. You had severe pulmonary edema. Your lungs filled with fluid. Your heart stopped. His words came through the fog like stones dropping into water. You died, Ava. No pulse. No oxygen. No brain activity for... He swallowed hard. For 23 minutes. 23 minutes. Not seconds. Minutes. No wonder I met Jesus. No wonder everything dissolved. No wonder the silence felt holy. Behind the doctor, through the blur, I saw movement. My mother. She was sitting in a chair, both hands covering her mouth. Her eyes were swollen and red, her hair tangled, her whole body shaking. She looked like she hadn't breathed in hours. When she saw me move, really move, her hands fell away from her face. Her lips trembled. A sound escaped her, small and broken. Ava? My dad stood on the other side of the room, gripping the wall like it was the only thing keeping him from collapsing. When his eyes met mine, the mask he always wore, the calm, controlled, steady one, shattered. Ava, he whispered. Oh my God. Ava. I wanted to tell them I was okay. That I wasn't gone. That I had been held in a place more peaceful than anything on earth. That Jesus had spoken to me. That he had sent me back. But the tube in my throat choked every word. I started to cry. Silent tears streaming down my face, hot against my cold skin. My mom rushed to my side, grabbing my hand, pressing it against her cheek like she was afraid it would disappear. You're here, she kept whispering. You're here, oh God, thank you, thank you, thank you. My dad leaned over me, brushing my hair from my forehead with trembling fingers. "You scared us," he said, voice cracking. His shoulders shook. I thought we lost you. I wished I could say I'm sorry. I wished I could say I saw you both. I wished I could say I didn't mean to hurt you. But all I could do was look at them and let the tears fall. The doctor removed the tube once it was safe, and when I finally gasped my first unassisted breath, it felt like swallowing fire. A nurse steadied me, whispering, "Slow. Slow breaths, sweetheart. Slow breaths. After everything. After not breathing at all." The idea of breathing slowly felt like a miracle. When my voice finally returned, hoarse, broken, small, I looked at the doctor. "You said," I rasped, throat raw. "You said, 23 minutes?" He nodded solemnly. "We don't have an explanation. Statistically, medically, biologically, you shouldn't be awake. You shouldn't be speaking. Your brain should have." He stopped, shaking his head. "It's a miracle, Ava. A true miracle." He said it with sincerity, but he didn't understand. It wasn't just a miracle. It was a mission. A purpose. I leaned back against the pillow, exhausted, trembling, everything hurting. But beneath the pain, beneath the weakness of my body, beneath the fear and the shock, something new pulsed inside me. A quiet. A real quiet. The quiet where God lives. And in that quiet, his voice lingered. Not loud. Not even words. Just a presence. A warmth. A reminder. "Tell them." Later that night, long after the doctors left the room and the machines softened their beeping, my parents both fell asleep. One on the couch, the other slumped over the side of my bed, still holding my hand. The room was dim. Peaceful. And in that stillness I whispered, barely audible, a breath more than a voice. "I'll do it, Jesus. I'll tell them. I promise." Because I had been brought back for a reason. Not for myself. Not for a second chance at life. But for the millions of souls drowning in noise the same way I had been. They needed to know the truth. They needed to know he was real. They needed to know that the emptiness they felt wasn't a flaw. It was a call. A call from him. And I was going to answer it. Even if it terrified me. Even if people laughed. Even if no one believed me. Because the one who knew my name. The one who pulled the darkness out of me. The one who gave me back to my parents when they thought I was gone. He believed. He chose me. And I wasn't going to waste that mercy. Not ever again. The hospital days blurred together at first. Nurses in soft shoes, doctors with tired eyes, the sound of rolling carts and beeping monitors that never seemed to stop. My body hurt. My lungs felt like bruised balloons, every breath shallow, burning, fragile. But inside me, there was a quiet I had never known before. Not the numb quiet I chased through vape clouds. Not the empty quiet of scrolling until my brain went blank. Not the exhausted quiet of finally crying myself to sleep. This quiet was alive. It hummed with warmth. It felt like someone was sitting beside me even when no one was there. Sometimes, when the nurses thought I was sleeping, I'd hear faint echoes of that heavenly chord, the music of his presence. Somewhere far behind me, not gone, just waiting. Whenever I closed my eyes, I saw his light. And every time I remembered the moment he said my name, tears filled my eyes. Not from pain. Not from fear. From love. Real love. The kind that fills the emptiest places. The kind that pulls you back from the edge of your own despair. The kind that says, "I see you," when the whole world scrolls past. But with the love came weight. Responsibility. The purpose he placed on my shoulders. Tell them. At first I didn't understand how. Who would believe me? A 16-year-old girl who died from vaping in her bedroom? A girl who had spent more hours talking to a screen than talking to her own parents? But each day the message inside me grew stronger, pressing at my ribs like a heartbeat not entirely my own. One morning, maybe my second or third day awake, a young nurse named Sarah came in to check my vitals. She was kind, with soft brown eyes and a badge decorated with little stickers of flowers. She smiled as she clipped the cold pulse oximeter onto my finger. "You're doing better today," she said gently. "Your oxygen levels are improving." I nodded, too tired to speak. Then she hesitated, biting her lip. "Can I ask you something?" I looked up. "When they brought you in," she whispered as if afraid of being overheard, "you were gone, Ava. You were truly gone. And then suddenly, like out of nowhere, you came back. We've been talking about it at the station. We don't understand it. Her voice softened. What do you remember? The question tightened my throat. Images rushed forward. The silence. The warmth. The colors. The light. Jesus. I opened my mouth. Then closed it. I wasn't ready. Not yet. Instead I whispered, it wasn't dark. Sarah frowned slightly. What do you mean? I swallowed. I wasn't alone. For a moment I thought she might laugh politely or chalk it up to trauma. But instead she nodded slowly, thoughtfully, as if my words fit into a truth she already suspected. You don't have to tell me more if you're not ready, she said softly. But sometimes, people come back with something important. Something they feel they need to share. My chest tightened. A sign. A reminder. A confirmation. After she left, I stared at the ceiling for a long time. The white tiles blurred and tears slipped down my temples. Tell them, I whispered to the empty room. But how? I didn't get the answer immediately. God doesn't always reply like thunder. Sometimes he moves like a slow sunrise, quiet, steady, patient. That night my parents finally left the hospital to shower and eat something real. A nurse dimmed the lights and the room fell into a soft half-darkness. I lay there breathing slowly, painfully, staring at the shadows on the wall. And then, it began. The room softened. Not physically, spiritually. Like the air thickened with meaning. The shadows deepened. The light from the hallway faded. The entire world seemed to pause. His presence. Not the full, overwhelming radiance I had seen in the heavenly place. But a whisper of it. A breath of warmth. A familiarity my soul recognized instantly. A gentle, invisible touch pressed against the center of my chest, right where the panic had lived for years. For the first time since waking, the pain eased fully, replaced by warmth. And then I felt it. Words. Not spoken aloud. Not heard with ears. But placed directly into my spirit. Start with your own story. I inhaled sharply. There is power in truth. Power in testimony. Power in what I brought you through. Tears rolled down the sides of my face. I whispered into the silence, but I'm nobody. Instantly warmth surged through me. You are chosen. My breath hitched. A whisper becomes a wave. A spark becomes a fire. Speak and those who need me will hear. The presence faded gently, leaving behind the faintest trace of that holy warmth. I knew then. My story wasn't about me. Not anymore. It was about every kid choking on their own thoughts in a bedroom lit only by a phone screen. Every kid scrolling through emptiness. Every kid numbing their soul. Every kid who feels alone but doesn't know how to reach out. Every kid who thinks God stopped listening. I was supposed to tell them. To tell you. Because everything I went through, all the panic, all the suffocating numbness, all the lonely nights, it wasn't meaningless. It pointed somewhere. Toward him. Toward the quiet place where his voice waits. Toward the truth I had forgotten. We're not meant to drown in this world's noise. We're meant to hear God. To feel him. To know him. And the way back to him is simple. Not easy. But simple. Silence. Truth. Surrender. Prayer. Love. He saved me so I could say this out loud. Your anxiety isn't a flaw. Your emptiness isn't a disease. Your loneliness isn't a curse. They are signals. Holy alarms. Your soul crying out. Please, let God in. And now it was my turn to make sure the world heard that cry. Every last part of it. Even if my voice shook. Even if people doubted. Even if it scared me. Because Jesus didn't just give me back my life. He gave me a mission. And I wasn't going to waste it. He brought me out of the quiet, so I could lead others into it. I left the hospital a week later. My lungs were still healing. My steps were slow. My body felt fragile, like it remembered dying even if my spirit didn't fear it anymore. But inside me, under the bruises and the exhaustion, something strong had taken root. Something steady. Something bright. His quiet. His call. When the cold spring air hit my face as my dad wheeled me outside, I realized how different the world felt. The sky was bluer, deeper. The breeze softer. The sunlight warmer. Or maybe I was different. Maybe everything had always been beautiful and I had just been too numb to feel it. At home, my parents followed me everywhere for the first few days. They hovered in doorways. Watched me breathe. Checked my chest rise and fall while I slept. They were afraid to lose me again and I understood. I was afraid too, Not of death, not anymore, but of failing this second chance. The vape was gone. All of them. My mom threw them out the day I died. My phone was still there, but when I powered it on for the first time, the screen felt heavy. Not tempting. Heavy. Like holding a reminder of everything I used to be. I put it down. And for the first time in years, I didn't reach for it again. Days passed. I healed slowly. My breathing grew stronger. My parents relaxed. My friends sent messages I didn't answer. Not because I was angry, but because I didn't know how to explain yet. How do you tell someone you met the creator of the universe and he knew your name? How do you say that he held your broken soul in his hands and made you whole? How do you say that emptiness is actually a call from heaven? I prayed a lot. Quietly. Softly. In silence. Every night I whispered, "Tell me when it's time." And one night, almost a month after I came home, I woke up with a sudden clarity, a warmth blooming in my chest the same way it had in his presence. It was time. I sat at my desk with a notebook and a pen. Not my phone. Not a screen. Paper. Something real. Something that didn't glow or distract or numb. And I began to write. The whole story. Every detail. Every moment. Every truth. I wrote until my hand cramped and my eyes blurred. I wrote until sunrise painted my room gold. I wrote until my heart felt light. But writing wasn't enough. I knew what he told me. Speak. Not whisper in private. Not hide the miracle. Speak. I sat in front of my small camera, the one I used to make meaningless TikToks and cute outfit videos, and I took a breath. The first real, intentional breath of my entire life. Then I pressed record. I didn't plan what to say. I didn't script anything. I just looked into the lens and imagined every lonely kid I had seen in that vision. Every glowing screen, every silent cry, every empty heart, and I spoke. "My name is Ava Miller," I began. "And I died." But this time there was no shame. No fear. No weakness. Only purpose. I told the truth. Every bit of it. The panic. The emptiness. The vape. The night my lungs failed. The way I floated above my own body. The wail my mother made when she thought I was gone. The silence. The light. Jesus. The world of lonely souls drowning in noise. The message he gave me. And the truth he told me to tell you. When I finished speaking, tears were on my cheeks, but my voice was steady. I didn't know if anyone would believe me. I didn't know if anyone would listen. But he didn't ask me to convince the whole world. He asked me to speak. And so I did. Now I'm speaking to you. If you're listening to this, something in your chest is tightening. If you feel that sting in your eyes. If your heart is pounding for reasons you can't explain. That's not fear. That's not anxiety. That's not weakness. That is your soul. That is the part of you that remembers him. Even if your mind forgot. That pressure, that emptiness, that ache you keep trying to numb. It's not a sickness. It's a call. A call from the one who made you. The one who loves you beyond comprehension. The one who whispered your name before you were born. The one who's been waiting, patiently, silently, for you to stop drowning yourself in noise long enough to hear him. So please, please listen. Turn off your phone. Just for 5 minutes. Sit in your room. Or step outside. Or lie in your bed with the lights off. And whisper. Even if you don't believe yet. Even if you're scared. Even if you feel foolish. Jesus, are you there? I promise you. He is. He sees you. He loves you. He knows your name the same way he knew mine. You don't have to shout. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to fix yourself first. Just be quiet. Just ask. He will meet you in the silence. Just like he met me. And before I end this, I want to ask you something. Not for me, but for the message he sent me back with. If you want to hear more stories like this. Stories that remind you that God is real. That faith is alive. That miracles still happen. Then please subscribe to my channel. Timeless Religious Stories. Not because numbers matter. But because souls do. Because someone you love, someone you know, someone you've never met might hear something here that pulls them back from the edge like he pulled me back. If you felt even the smallest spark of truth in my story, then stay. There is more to tell. More he wants to say. More quiet to find. And we'll find it together.